Matt, you played for the Kings. The Kings knocked out the Warriors. The Warriors appear to be finished and dead. What is your summation of both emotionally, how you felt watching the Kings do that to them, and the finality of respecting something that for a decade changed the entire sport?
Yeah, I'll start with Golden State. And we literally were just talking about this yesterday, and we feel that the dynasty is over. And will they keep the core together out of respect and tradition and for what they did for the game and each other and the organization? Or do they make moves to see how they can better this team in Steph's last handful of years? So from that standpoint, kind of sad, honestly, kind of sad to just see, kind of an end of a run. And then on the flip side for the Kings, I mean, a young and up-and-coming team, a very shorthanded team right now. Obviously, Kevin Huerter out with shoulder surgery. Malik Monk is out with the knee, so very shorthanded, but we're able to, capitalize and get themselves a chance to get into the playoffs as the 8th seed. So, a tough game against the Pelicans. Despite Zion being out, the Pelicans have had a lot of success against the Kings. So definitely hoping the Kings can pull that off and slide into that 8th seed.
Matt, what do you think Steph wants?
I don't know, man. It's hard to think. I know Steph loves Dre and Clay like brothers, and doesn't no one on the planet appreciates those two more than probably Steph. But I don't know. It's up in the air. I mean, I can see both sides. I can see them. Hey, let's ride off into the sunset together. We've had a great run, or do I want to try to compete? In my last few years. So it's really a tough call, and a lot's going to come down to Mike Dunleavy and that management to see what they do.
Stephen, what did you make of what looked like? Because I don't know why it's so hard for winning to be fun. Why Kevin Durant would leave there. I would think that for 8 years they would love crushing everybody, but it appeared recently that Steph was crying into his jersey when Draymond got ejected again. Can you sort of explain to us the volatility of relying on a furnace like that wins you championships, but is also clearly unreliable in spots, and there are times that you're going to feel like your trust is betrayed?
Yeah, and I know Steph feels like that. He's the biggest fan of Draymond. He talks so high about Draymond when people try to demean him when he makes this mistake. But I think at this point, he might not say it, but he's fed up too, because he's been doing everything right for so long. He's been carrying his team for so long. And now you're at the point now where Clay is not the player he needs to be. Draymond is still being the defensive player, the help guy. But when you don't have a guy like Clay or another guy like KD on their team to help him, it's a lot of frustration for Steph. So I can see him being frustrated right now and not having answers, because he don't want to say, I want to win and move on, because he's loyal to these guys. But then again, he's a winner and he wants to end his career on a good note. So I think it's a tough situation for him, but somebody has to make some tough decisions.
You guys were both good teammates and good leaders. You saw a lot of different ego-type conflict. Put yourselves in that locker room. How are either one of you handling Draymond?
I don't really think, and I mean, for someone who was in that locker room, I don't necessarily think it's handling Draymond. I just think it's Draymond as he continues to get older and has these mistakes that we're all allowed to make mistakes. We've all made mistakes, but his mistakes are starting to add up to major suspensions and missing games, and they're a much better team when he's on the floor. So I just think I don't know necessarily if it's handling Draymond, because he is the leader of that locker room. He is the leader of that team. He is the heart and soul of that organization. Obviously, Steph is the best player, but Draymond is the heart and soul. So, I mean, I think it's just respectful conversations that Steph may have with them or Clay or other guys like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's more self-awareness on Draymond's part. And I think personally, he's starting to see it. It may be a little too late for this core to reciprocate, him understanding his importance at this point, because like I said, I just kind of see with what they have now, I don't necessarily see them winning a championship unless they make a big move. But I think it's just more on Draymond. And I think as, someone who is friends with Draymond, I think he's starting to see that and really understanding that his actions not only hurt himself, but are really starting to hurt his team because he's missing games over them.
Not surprising that Matt would object to the verb handling on an adult human being. But Steph, would your would your analysis, Stephen, be any different on that, or would you have anything? Because you weren't afraid of a confrontation when leadership is required. But what happens when your leader is, creating? I think it's one of the great teammate crimes, which is just not being available for your guys because you can't be counted on.
Yeah, they don't have nobody to check Draymond besides him checking himself in that locker room. That's how I feel. When I was in Golden State, Al could check me, Matt could check me, I could check BD. Like, we had several guys to check each other in the locker room. I think Draymond the only one that holds that type of weight in that locker room. So, like Matt said, it's going to be Draymond checking Draymond, because at this point, to me personally, I think more frustration is going to come with Draymond because his lack of production. He's not the stopper. He's not the big. He's just not the player he used to be. He's not as fast. He don't jump as high. So the less he produces in the game, the more frustration is going to come out. And I think that's why you've been seeing it so much now.
Stugotz is. I'm sorry. I have to just stop you because Stugotz's eyes just lit up. He got very excited. What did you just notice?
Is someone rolling a blunt behind you guys? I mean, I'm jealous. I mean, I want to be with you guys.
So listen, there's a guy named David who has, what's your donut shop called?
Mr. Donuts.
Mr. Donuts out here in Colorado, and he saw that we were going to be out here, so he came and brought me and Jack like 6 dozen donuts, and he's like, man, I was hoping to smoke with you guys, and we're like, we're about to knock Dan's show out real quick, but as soon as we're done with Dan, we'll smoke with you. So shout out Dave and his donut shop. He brought us some donuts and some good eats, and then as soon as we're done, we're gonna light up with our guy.
He's doing some prep while the interview's going. That's great. Swish a sweet backwood Dutch match to be back there.
Chris Cody got more excited by the donuts.
Working for the wrong crew. You guys need a producer? You guys good?
Last night, the Miami Heat. I'm sorry, I did interrupt you, Matt. Did you want to continue?
I just wanted to add just real quick. I don't like that people are trying to take shots at Steph and Steph's leadership because of what Draymond is doing. And again, everyone is their own man, and sometimes you need to try to hold certain people accountable, but I don't think this is a knock on Steph's leadership or Steph as a teammate, or does Steph have control of the locker room. Again, Draymond is a unique person, a unique player. To really know Draymond is to love Draymond. And like I said, it's more self-awareness than anything, but I just don't like how people are trying to take shots at Steph's leadership over, Draymond's mishaps. So I just wanted to add that before we got out of that subject.
Well,